Yeah, they're cooking them, dude. Dude, they're blinking. They're retreating. They're fucking retreating. I called it. They are retreating. I fucking told you. I told you that there was no way for them to continue with this pressure, okay? That if people actually came out and pushed back, they were going to fold because they don't have the fucking popular mandate that they thought they had. In any case, let's get to Donald Trump. Donald Trump's one-word response when asked if no one plans to step down.
Had a great conversation with the highly respected president of Syria, and all of the things having to do with Syria and that area working out very, very well. So we're very happy about it. Tom Homan, as you know, is in Minnesota now. He's meeting with the governor, and he's meeting with the mayor, I think, later. And I hear that's all going very well also. I'm going to Iowa. Some of you are coming with me, but I'm going to Iowa. And what can I say? The economy is good. It's all good. Prices are coming way down. And we have a lot of very positive
news. The chopper's so loud, it always is. It's also funny that he's like, he's going to Iowa to talk about how good the economy is when Iowa is in a deep state of recession. Okay. It's great. Yeah, no, tell him how good things are, King. Tell him how good things are, King. Make him wait. Okay. Make him wait a little bit longer and then tell him how good things are and how it's actually the Democrats' fault that they're still not able to purchase groceries, you know?
Well, you know, we're doing a big investigation. I want to see the investigation. I'm going to be watching over it. I want a very honorable and honest investigation. I have to see it myself.
Is Kristi Noem going to step down?
No.
No.
The president of Venezuela said that she has not been taking orders from you. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I don't know exactly what's going on there, but I haven't heard that at all. No, we have a very good relationship.
What about
God damn, it's so loud, bro. Oh my lordy. As a Canadian, something that fascinates me is how much the current administration demonized their opposition party publicly. I mean, that's been the Trump meta. It's actually, I think, a big L for the Democrats who don't do the same thing. It's something that I've actually criticized Democrats about quite a bit. Because when Democrats are in power, they'll be like, we want a strong Republican Party. It's like, bitch, who's we? You speaking French? The you mean you want a strong Republican Party? Not me. I don't want a strong Republican Party. I want a weak Republican Party. I want no Republican Party. Okay? The are you talking about? We want a strong Republican Party. No, I want a ritualistically humiliated Republican Party that literally is just there in name only. Okay? That was something that, yeah, I want Republicanism to be outlawed, dude. What the are we talking about? I want them to actually be educated. As much as I, criticize the excesses of the Cultural Revolution, maybe, who knows? Who knows? Yeah, Trump has gone woke and has come out against the Second Amendment in the whole, in this interview. Careful criticizing the Dems. Some milquetoast music reactor might attack you in Chaperone. Yeah, I know. I already dunked on him yesterday. That guy who was like, I used to be a Hasan fan. You know what's funny? That turned around and was like talking about how he loves Zohran Mamdani and how he wants like 1 million Zohran Mamdanis to be elected. It's like, bitch, what do you think I'm doing? Okay. What do you think I've been doing? Suck my dick. Go criticize Taylor Swift for not talking about the current state of affairs, okay? Instead of still yelling at Chaperone. Chaperone's been on that shit, okay? I hate these that like literally exhibit the worst qualities of stan culture. Has your stance on guns changed at all? A little bit, yes. Okay, this is unbearable, bro. You can't even hear anything.
We know that the snap across the country, this extreme temperature snap, is punishing. The president standing out there to take all the questions. Kaylee, you
Look at our big, beautiful, brave boy, Mr. President, braving the cold. Is that how I sounded when I was demanding people respect how brave I was? Demanding people. Is that what it was? Is that what it sounds like? Goddamn.
You and I were looking at each other as he said about that investigation into the death of the man by ICE agents in Minneapolis in that scuffle that we've all seen on video. I want a very honorable and honest investigation into the death of Alex Preddy. What do you make of it?
That was a headline, and he said he'll be watching over it. And the other headline came just after it. It's hard to hear because it's chopper talk, right, that Marine One's going. But he was asked if Kristi Noem will step down, and he said no. But I think what we just saw is the challenge that President Trump is going to have. You watch him board Marine One, and you heard him talk about Ukraine. You heard him talk about the investigation in Minnesota. You heard him try so hard to get in points about inflation coming down.
Right.
GDP was 4.4%. I mean, that's a huge number. He's going to Iowa to make this speech. But how do you drown out the noise that is coming from the media in an election year? They will contrive chaos where it does not exist. They will come up with,
Oh, God, these losers. Anyway, here's Donald Trump. One of the takeaways, one of the main takeaways from that was Trump coming out against the Second Amendment. Where are all the where are all the gun rights activists now? You can't have guns. You can't walk in with guns. You just can't. You can't walk in with guns. You can't do that. Mr. Second Amendment protector, dude, straight up coming out and being like, nope, no guns for you. What happened? What happened to the Second Amendment? And then they asked him again. They asked him again. Oh, shit. I closed the wrong tab. They asked him, do you agree with the assessment of some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist? Let's take a look at what he had to say about Alex Preddy.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Right. Everyone, unless you're a stupid person.
Yeah. Y'all thought the second... Guys, are you stupid? You thought the Second Amendment was for, I don't know, fighting against a tyrannical government? No. It's for fighting against the real tyranny. School children, okay? That's what the Second Amendment is for, so that whenever someone gets really angry that no one wants to them, they can go to their school and kill a bunch of kindergartners. Duh. Are you stupid? You thought it was about combating and resisting against a tyrannical fascist government? Don't be stupid. It's about the real tyranny. Children in schools. Stupid.
Very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
Yeah, important to reinforce he wasn't carrying for a protest. He was carrying while going about his day, and I showed up. I know. Not that it matters, because even if he was carrying at a protest, that's still protected. It's still supposed to be protected, but I guess it doesn't matter when you're, when you're woke. The Second Amendment only works if you're not woke, if you're Kyle Rittenhouse, okay? That is my position that has changed. For those of you who are asking, my position on gun rights have evolved. I used to, first of all, it's actually one of the positions that has evolved throughout time because I covered guns extensively. When I first started this stuff, I was like super anti-gun. I had never shot a gun. I didn't want anything to do with guns. I'm Turkish, right? I come from that background of like, the do you mean everybody has guns? No, that's crazy, right? And then I started learning more about guns. I started shooting guns to get a better understanding of guns in general. And in that process, I understood like shooting as a hobby, right? I've never actually gone hunting, but like I understand that as well. And my views evolved in the direction of like, okay, as long as there is like reasonable gun control, I'm in favor of people being able to, maintain their arms, right? But I still absolutely was in favor of making sure that no one was armed in the process of a protest, okay? I'll admit that is one of the aspects of gun control that I am no longer in favor of. If you're armed at a protest, like I don't know if that's the worst possible thing. I feel like being armed at a protest actually causes other elements to be a little bit more cognizant of your a little bit more aware of where you are and what you're doing. Armed and brandishing is very different. Of course, you can't be brandishing. That is illegal, and that it should stay illegal, obviously. But yeah, that's my opinion. I was always like, don't buy a gun. Guns are not the best. Guns are actually pretty bad. I don't necessarily think that anymore as much. I still obviously am in favor of severe restrictions on guns. But my position has evolved on that for sure. It went from no guns at all to, okay, you know, I kind of understand why people have guns, but there should be severe restrictions. I still think there should be severe restrictions and a fuck ton of control around, you know, being able to purchase these firearms. There should be a lot more maintenance around how you purchase these firearms, how you maintain these firearms, all this stuff. However, I am no longer as anti-Second Amendment as I used to be. Anti-gun is counter-revolutionary, silly goose. Yeah, really? We have the most armed nation on the planet. Where's the violent revolution? Shut up. You know, there's state-sanctioned violence taking place. I think it's probably better to you know, be armed and trained. It's already happening. Like, this is what I mean. I have no issue with this at all. I have no issue with this at all. Okay? I probably would have had an issue with this a couple years ago. I don't have a single damn issue with this at all.
You live in the neighborhood?
Because, like, Republicans do this kind of show of force when, like, the government's like, you have to get vaccinated. These guys are doing this as a method of defense, okay? Like, that's what you have to remember. Like, these guys are literally saying, like, yeah, we'll protect our neighborhoods if you try to come here. The fuck do you mean? Like, this is community support. This is community defense. This is what the Black Panther Party did as well. And I was in favor of it back then as well because the situation was different, right? The Black Panther Party was armed specifically for community defense when the state was openly annihilating black people, okay? The fuck are you supposed to do? Just sit there and take it? No, of course not. It's ridiculous, right? And I'm talking about the OG Black Panther Party, not whatever the new version of the Black Panther Party is, okay? At this point, you guys being against it would be a one-sided disarmament since the other side loves guns. I mean, the other side's not doing shit anyway because the other side is literally only invested in state-sanctioned violence regardless. My point is, you don't fuck with Paul Birdsong? No. I'm not talking about Paul Birdsong when I say that. I'm talking about the criticisms that Paul Birdsong has received from the new Black Panther Party that, you know, is telling them that they're not allowed to be the Black Panther Party because the Black Panther Party only cares about, like, black Americans. Like, they're on some, like, ADOS shit, not Paul Birdsong. Paul Birdsong is correct in his position. I'm talking about like the controversy surrounding him where the OG Black Panther Party literally told him that he's not allowed to represent the Black Panther Party or some shit if he's going to defend immigrants, which is so stupid. Anyway, we'll get into that in a little bit if we have time. Yeah, you can treat it as an extension of my nuclear doctrine as well. If you want to maintain sovereignty as a nation state, you must get nuclear arms immediately. You must engineer a delivery mechanism, ICBMs, for said nuclear arms immediately. That's the only way to maintain sovereignty in this current dog-eat-dog world out there. It's a mog-eat-mog world. It's a dog-eat-dog world. And if you don't have nukes and you are in the periphery, you will get dominated. You will get destroyed. And the same principle holds for, you know, being armed.
Yep, this is my block. This is my area. I don't go into other people's neighborhoods and try and intimidate them. I protect my people.
Yeah, that's it. Trump is live already. Is he going live yet? He's supposed to be live in Iowa right now, but he hasn't gone live yet. So I'm waiting for that. Let's see. Or maybe he is coming up. He's live on Fox. Why is he live on Fox but not live on MS Now? How is that possible? Oh, he's giving a speech to Will.
Somebody said 185, but it was 350, 450 just a year and a half ago.
So wait, these dumbasses are waiting out there for him in the cold?
Do you notice they don't mention affordability anymore?
Meanwhile, Trump is doing the Will Kane show? Yeah, you deserve it.
But
you piggies deserve it.
I didn't cause it. I came in prices were way too high. We had the highest inflation in the history of our country. 48 years, they say. I say the history. But we had the highest, let's say in 48 years, the highest inflation. Prices were way high. Now I've got the prices down, and they're going down still further. But think of it. We brought fuel from $4, $3.50, $3.75 down to $1.99, $1.08. I was just told in Iowa, $1.85.
Yeah.
A gallon.
No doubt, no doubt. But that leaves that problem, like you said, the hardest one to solve. People say they want our immigration laws enforced.
The hardest one to solve is.
You know, I remember a conversation that you and I had a year and a half ago with your Secretary of War, our friend Rachel Campos Duffy, and you said to me, you looked at me and said, it's going to be difficult when the New York Times runs a picture of a little kid being taken away from their mother. It's going to be difficult. And by the way, that basically happened to you a week ago. It was propaganda and it was false about a 5-year-old.
By the way, it was a totally false story
totally
about the
fake
5-year-old.
story.
Yeah,
But you're now dealing with the difficulty of the propaganda in the face of enforcing
and I knew
illegal
that, Will.
immigration.
I mean, I
you
said
did know.
It's always tough.
Are you still
we
committed?
take out 25 murderers. We take out drug dealers. We take out a whole group of people by the thousands. And if we get one person a little bit wrong, headlines. But they don't talk about all the tremendous, the reason that we have Minnesota crime down. I talk about that because it's only down for one reason. We took out so many criminals. But other states are way down. So the report came out there. Think of it. In the history of this country, we have the lowest number of murders. We have the lowest crime, the best crime numbers. That's despite the fact that millions, I say 25 million people, millions of people were let in through the border by Biden. And many of those people were not people you want to have in the country.
So what's going to change? You put in Tom Homan. Have you spoken today to Tom Homan?
Well, yeah, I have. Tom is fantastic. Tom is a tough guy, but I've watched over the years, and he's gotten along with governors, and he gets along with mayors. Some people don't. Some people just want to do their job and leave me alone. And that's sort of okay, too. That's generally been okay. Most of them are happy. Memphis, Tennessee, very tough, very straightforward. We're taking the criminal out. We're getting them out, either putting them in jail, because some are so bad that you don't want to send them to where they came from because you're afraid they're going to come back. They're murderers. So some are very down and straight, and others, Tom, I've noticed, as tough as he is, he gets along very good with governors and mayors. Now, I spoke to the mayor and to the governor yesterday, and they want to see it cleared up.
I'm so fascinated by your conversation with Governor Tim Walz. This man has suggested that this is a modern-day Gettysburg. He has likened his situation to Anne Frank in the Holocaust. He has said that ICE is your Gestapo army. And then you guys speak on the phone. I'm fascinated by that conversation.
It couldn't have been a nicer conversation. And in fact, I said to my people, I said, it's hard to believe that's the same guy I watch on television.
Bro, this is, by the way, this is how they dominate the libs, okay?
Very reasonable
Straight up. This is how they dominate the libs. The difference between Zohran Mamdani and Tim Walz is clear here. When people talk shit about Zohran, Donald Trump literally will defend Zohran Mamdani. Donald Trump will have a conversation, I don't know like how polite they are to one another in private with Tim Walz, and then he'll shit all over Tim Walz again.
Within 3 months of taking office, I had that border locked and closed, and nobody even tries to come up anymore. It's easy now. Nobody even tries to come up. Before they were coming up by the millions. But nobody wants to talk about that. They only want to talk about whatever the last thing is. But we're taking out thousands and thousands of criminals. And the worst thing that Biden did to this country, because, again, inflation I can solve, all this stuff. The hardest thing to solve is when you have people brought into the country and you have to take those people. We have a very unfriendly court system, frankly, especially at the lower levels. Take those people and you have to say, I'm sorry, but you're going out. And in many cases, they're murderers. And, they shoot you. They kill you. You've seen that, where they kill you. You're after a murderer. Sir, you're going to have to come with me. And they end up shooting you. It's a very tough job that they have.
I know you addressed this morning. You talked about the incredible success, and it is an incredible success at the southern border. But you were asked, with the shift in Minneapolis and Tom Homan going to Minnesota, do you still have confidence in DHS Secretary Kristi Noem? You brought up the success at the border.
Look,
you do.
She was there with the border. Who closed up the border? She did, with Tom Homan, with the whole group. I mean, they closed up the border. The border is a tremendous success, one of the most secure borders in the entire world. We were a laughingstock 1.5 years ago for the whole world. The whole world laughed at us. I had friends that said, is that real? They'd look at a picture. You've been down to the border. They'd look at a picture of the border with hundreds of thousands of people pouring in like it was water. And they said, is that really taken? They can't believe it. They think it's one of these crazy movies that they make. The border was horrible. It was horrible. You know, I did the border twice. First time I won, 2016, I won on the border. But that border was nothing, and I fixed it immediately. It was great. We had great years, and we had a great economy. We had the best economy in history in 2016, my first term. And we rebuilt the military, and we get the largest regulation cuts. We had the best job number. We had a great first term. This term seems to be blowing it away. I mean, the only thing we have is a Minnesota situation, and that is, I believe, easily resolved.
Okay. You're about to take the stage here in Iowa. I imagine you're going to talk about the economy.
Yeah.
I'm curious what your plan is if the Supreme Court rules negatively on your tariffs. You talk about the tariffs
We'll have to find another way. Look,
is there a plan B?
Yeah, the tariffs have been indispensable towards success. We've taken in $600 billion in tariffs. I gave the farmers $12 billion last week. I took them out of tariff money. It's kept the unfair competition out of our country. Now, they can build their auto plant here, but they can't build a plant in some place with, you know, labor costs for a penny and then sell it into this country and then charge people a lot of money for a car. So the only way they can do that, they have to build the plants here. So the big auto companies from Germany, from Mexico, from Canada, Mexico and Canada are literally, their plants are closing down. They're moving into this country. So we have more activity than we've ever had. We have thousands of businesses all over the country being built. We have hundreds of big major factories between AI, autos, and many other things being built. We've never had a thing like this.
And you use them as a tool for world peace.
For world peace, yeah. We have to use it for world peace.
But what happens if the Supreme Court strikes down the tariffs?
We will find some other way of doing a similar thing.
You know,
but it'll be more inconvenient. It
I
won't
was just
be as
speaking
easy.
to some of the diners here today. Right. David Ullman, he's lived in Iowa for a long time. He's in agriculture. He does express concern about the tariffs and the effect it's had on farmers in Iowa.
Well, it's going to be don't forget, they just kicked in. And we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars. And we've kept a lot of people out that want to come in and rip off for years, it was in the reverse. China would charge us tariffs. Other countries would charge us tariffs. I've totally reversed it. Japan gave us $550 billion. South Korea is supposed to give us $350 billion. But what happens is they're coming in, they're building plants, they don't have to pay tariffs. If they don't do that, so what's happening is we're getting a tremendous amount of business coming to this country, and they're coming in fast and sharp. I think the farmers are going to be the biggest beneficiary because when you used to have people coming in and dumping their crops into the United States, and you guys were hurt, they're not allowed to do that because we're tariffing those crops.
Just a couple of more questions.
I think the farmers, in a way, and it's going to take a little while to kick in, and the farmers stuck with me the first time, and I was right, with China, when China did a little bit of a number. We gave you $28 billion then because it was a help because they were taken advantage of for years. We gave them 28. Now we gave them 12, sort of a minimal payment. $12 billion for the farmers. Nobody else would be able to do that. Nobody else would even think of doing that. But the tariffs are going to be phenomenal for the farmers, but they just kicked in.
I just see some nods here as you're talking.
A lot of nodding.
A couple of more questions.
Me,
a couple of quick more questions, Mr. President. One serious one. This whole Minnesota thing, it started because of a focus on fraud. It started because of illegal immigration and welfare fraud. Yeah. The question is, will there be accountability in Minnesota and beyond?
There's got to be.
Other states, California.
Minnesota is one state. If you look at California, so in Minnesota, they think it's $19 billion. If they think it's $19 billion, triple it or quadruple it. And if we catch a lot of this fraud, and I felt it for a long time, but now we know what's happening. And the answer is, yeah, there will be accountability. It's one of the little problems. You know, I happen to think, and I've said it from the beginning, that a lot of what's going on with respect to Minneapolis, you know, with what's happening with all the hoopla, is so people don't talk about.
You think it's a distraction?
I've said it from day one. It's a distraction because what you don't see is that we have hundreds of accountants from Todd and from all of the different people. We have hundreds of accountants going over everything that's happening, and we're finding fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. And I think that they don't want that to happen. You're talking about $19 billion. Probably that's a minimal number. Now, You take that and you go to California. You think California is better? I would say California is worse. It's totally out of control. They don't know what they're doing out there. The governor is, I actually thought he was a pretty nice guy, but he has no clue what he's doing. Look at a railroad. He builds a railroad. It's like 20 times more expensive than it was supposed to be. And what they did to get down the cost, they made it shorter so it doesn't go to San Francisco.
You saw what he said, right? He's claiming victory in Minnesota, by the way. He has posted that you have retreated in Minnesota, Governor Gavin Newsom, and he is encouraging people to keep the pressure up.
See, I haven't heard that at all because it's just the opposite. I was called by the governor yesterday. I was called by the mayor yesterday. How do we do something? Please, how do we do something? I think it's bad for them. I don't think it's bad for us. I think it's bad for them.
Yeah, you'll have to see what Governor
But it's not
Newsom
a question
posted.
of retreat. We want safe cities. Whether it's if we took a lot of the crime out of there. We want safe cities and states. We want a safe country. And again, we just got a report done by Democrats that the country is the safest ever recorded right now.
Right, along with a secure border. I'm just looking around. Who's here today? There's a lot of people, but one guy who is not here is your Secretary of State, and I'm afraid he made a very big mistake. He gave an interview where he said that one of his tricks with you is on Air Force One. Marco Rubio goes into a room and covers himself up with blankets so that you won't see him sleeping, that you'll think it's a staffer. And so I think there's only one of two ways you go with this.
Sorry.
You give him yet another job.
Screenshotting something.
Yeah.
Or
We'll give
you
him
pull the
another
blankets back.
That's what he wants. Let me tell you, he's doing a fantastic job. But he's a tough cookie. I can tell you that. He's a tough cookie. He's going to go down as the best Secretary of State we've ever had. You see what we're doing. Just today we solved a tremendous problem in conjunction with Syria. Saved many lives. Right. I mean, we're saving a lot of lives all over the world. Ended 8 wars. I'm very proud of that because it's not tough for me. We're trying to end one more, by the way, Russia, Ukraine. And I think we're going to get that done, too. But we ended 8 wars and saved tens of millions of lives, and I'm happy about that.
You should be proud.
Thank you.
I know you're a big sports fan, so we'll end here. We now have the Super Bowl set. New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks. Now, usually when someone asks you these questions, you answer with, which of these two teams have a greater affiliation in fandom of President Donald Trump?
That's true. In those cases...
Got some roaches in here begging that you send a link to Asman because he can't find the interview. Well, it's over anyway, roaches.
That team, you got to hand it to him. He had the great team, and now he's got the great team again. They made a fantastic draft pick. The quarterback is great. But it's going to be I think it's going to be a tremendous game. I hope it's going to be a tremendous game.
Yeah. Mr. President, I know you got to take the stage. I really appreciate all the time you've given us and joining us live.
El Rocherino.
We called a lot of audibles right here at the last moment. We really appreciate you joining us.
Well, you've done a tremendous job, and you've really been very fair to me. I don't even say nice. I just want to be fair, and you've been fair, and you've also been nice.
Yeah.
So it was
fair means glaze.
As you, I said, let's do it.
All right. My goal is to tell the truth, Mr. President.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Will.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Thank you to the President of the United States.
I've never seen a propaganda machine fail so much, try so hard, yet fail so much. Okay, here are the reasons as to why it's failing. Because you cannot out-propaganda people's pockets hurting. You cannot out-propaganda your own agents going around and murking American citizens. Okay? That's it. That's it. You can do as much, you can try to do as much propaganda as you want to. Okay? At the end of the day, if you're Gestapo are roaming the goddamn streets and just murking people, people are going to go, I don't like that. Okay? I don't like that at all. Especially because one thing that's different from Trump and his predecessors is that they have done away with manufacturing consent. They have a much more heavy-handed approach to propaganda. And a much more heavy-handed approach to propaganda, state propaganda, only works if you are improving the material conditions for the masses and people know that they're being propagandized too. Okay? The beauty of the neoliberal mechanism of control has always been to make people feel like they're on board with everything that's going on. To give people to falsely present a reality that makes people feel like they have control over their lives. Okay? Because if you go to other places around the planet, people know that their government's lying to them, right? People don't even consider what the government is saying to be like the objective truth. They know the government is going to always have a pro-government slant in their approach, in the way that they communicate to the public. And they don't make a big fuss about it if their material conditions are improving. Now, of course, if their material conditions are not improving and the government is being authoritarian, then you have problems. Then you run into rebellion, right? That's how America has been able to dominate all these other countries for years and years by way of sanctions, by way of economic domination, IMF, World Bank, austerity measures, and the like. Okay, but in America, we don't have the expectation that our lives are going to get better, but we have the expectation that we are free. We have this false notion that we are free, and the only way that you can keep up that false notion is if you abide by the liberal mechanism of control, which is to make people feel like they have a pressure valve in the form of democracy, or to make people feel like they have freedom of speech, to make people feel like their government or their media is not lying to them. So America is breaking from that tradition under the Trump administration by just behaving in the same way that like authoritarian governments do. Okay, more authoritarian governments do. Autocracies. They're doing state propaganda over and over again. And once people start realizing, okay, well, you're still killing people. And also on top of that, I have nothing to look forward to as far as like American improvement, as far as the economy improving, as far as my material circumstances getting better. What the fuck am I in it for? Just to kill a bunch of liberals in Minneapolis? Like, sure, there are some who want that. There are some who are on a vengeance quest, but there are plenty more in the Trump base that are demanding what Trump promised them: economic prosperity. Something's got to give. The White House sought to rapidly distance Trump from their initial portrayals of the man fatally shot by federal officials in Minnesota as a gunman, as they face a deepening backlash after the video footage undercut their assertions. Jay Caspian Kang says, again, it's amazing just how depraved and deep in a bubble they are. They think Americans don't mind snuff films, that they'll accept a good man like Peretti was a terrorist, that people will just let their eyes lie to them. They think putting literal Nazi slogans on social media is funny, and they think they can co-opt neo-Nazi shit in videos and dog whistle and laugh. Utterly depraved, nihilistic, and disgusting, and they will be fully rejected. 100%. Like, this video is a great example of this, where like shit like this, for the people that do consume it, that do appreciate it on the Twitter audience, is great, right? You're dog whistling to neo-Nazis, and they love it because all the neo-Nazis are on Twitter. The problem is, you don't have ideologically committed neo-Nazis in your movement in the real world. Most people that might have opinions that are identical to neo-Nazis don't like to be regarded as neo-Nazis. They will get very mad at that. You can have the average American white suburban or white ruraloid racist who has damn near identical opinions to the Hitlerian Nazi Germany movement. If you call them a Nazi, they go, "What the are you talking about? I'm not a Nazi." Or if they see someone self-identify as a Nazi, they go, "Oh, gross. I don't want to be a part of that at all." That's the problem. These people, ironically, rose to prominence because they were good at reading the room. And yet now, ruraloids, okay? Rural people. Ruraloids is a difficult thing to say. I know, it's a difficult word to say. They are either heavily invested or their social media team is so heavily invested in this neo-Nazi sentiment that they have deluded themselves into thinking that there is this like ideologically consistent neo-Nazi movement in the United States of America where there isn't one, okay? Or they just have no vision and they've run out of options. Everything is some tee-hee bullshit like this. There's no vision or attempt to appeal to people. It's just 25-year-old little shitheads who can't read doing Nazi memes to freak out the libs. That's it. Rural juror. Because at the end of the day, and I say this all the time with respect to like the difference between neo-Nazi, Nazi movements and Nazi mobilizing and organizing and fascist organizing in the past versus like American racism. American racism is on autopilot. It's just like treats. It's in the background. It's an ever-present part of American culture. It's an ever-present part of American society. Racism and fascism, at least as a historical movement, requires ideological discipline. It requires organizing around these principles. Americans do not organize around these shared values of fascism. They don't. Not only has America, in its greatest moment, historically fought against and defeated fascism, but Americans also are far too undisciplined and disorganized and far too invested in their treats, far too invested in capitalism to actually be full-tilt fascists. Okay? That's it. So when these guys are doing this kind of stuff, when they're doing this kind of shit, it doesn't actually signal to an organized fascist movement. It doesn't actually galvanize the population. They don't go, oh, yeah, that's awesome. I totally want this kind of, I love the Nazi dog whistling, right? Then what about communism or socialism? That's an identical problem. The difference, however, is that with communism or socialism, the fundamentals are there because the overwhelming majority of the American working class is still working class, regardless of their position as the labor aristocracy that are beneficiaries of super profits that we extract from the third world. They're still workers. Americans love talking about, small businesses being the backbone of this economy, petite bourgeoisie. And yet, most of those small businesses are actually still owned and operated by people that are working in those small businesses. That's number one. And number two, if they're not, there's still, for every small business, there's at least 5 to 10 employees. Those are wage laborers. It's just a numbers game at the end of the day. No matter how much people perceive themselves to be a beneficiary of capitalism, at the end of the day, they are still working for their wages. Most people still make an overwhelming amount of their yearly revenue from working. Okay? That's it. And therefore, there is still always an opportunity to organize. It might look different than the previous socialist organizers. It might look different than trade unionists in the past. It might look different than communist organizing in the past. But there is still an opportunity to organize there as long as people gain class consciousness, class sentience, if you want to call it that. Because I feel like we need to have class sentience first before we even get class consciousness. Here, this is the folding ideas
Twitter
video that is like 3 minutes long.
Americans have always known why. The attached video is a clip from Werner Herzog's documentary, Encounters at the End of the World, a segment that features a...
I do personally love how suicidal the modern iteration of reactionaries are. Like how openly suicidal they are. Like presenting the suicidal nature of this this penguin as a virtue.
Penguin breaking from the collective and walking off towards the distant mountains, to which Herzog says, "But why?" At this point, the video replaces footage of penguins with footage of Trump and his Gestapo goons in ICE brutalizing the American people. The intent here is to call to American exceptionalism, the frontier spirit. Americans have always known why, they say, because the pursuit of the majesty in the distance is supposedly quintessentially American. It casts Trump as the renegade penguin, a lone wolf hero breaking away from the herd, doing his own thing, an American thing which has presumably been lost. Trump, severing America's ties with its allies, warmongering, and his trade wars are just American individualism, baby. Don't follow that penguin herd to the ocean full of fish. It's very profound. It's a profound statement, and that's why this is a king penguin. It also attempts to paint the present as merely an uncomfortable phase that must be endured before a promised reward, the long ice sheet between now and the mountains. You don't get to see the mountains if you aren't willing to walk the distance, which is a thing Americans have always known but simply forgot before Trump came to show them the way back. The murder of civilians, the brutalization of the populace, the state of fear, the concentration camps, the open admission to using ICE to punish Trump's political opponents to gain access to voter rolls. This terrorism is simply the cost of getting to the mountains where, implicitly, America will be great again. Layla Cunningham, a UK politician running for Mayor of London under the Reform Party, has also embraced this penguin as a symbol, posting an AI-generated image of her walking towards the mountains hand in flipper with a penguin. Right-wing politicians around the world have embraced this penguin as a symbol of their pursuit of a distant ideal. But that's not really what's happening here. The penguin isn't just wandering off to see some sick mountains because it's never going to get there. There's no food, there's no shelter, there's no security. The penguin is going to die. Immediately before the clip in the full documentary, Herzog asks a penguin expert if penguins can go insane. So another thing that's implicit underneath this is the recognition that Trump and his cronies are on a suicide mission.
Yeah. And it's actually really interesting how much these guys ride for. It's interesting how much these guys ride for all these other suicidal people as well. Like that one TSA employee that stole a plane, that's like a person that they absolutely love. Hey, I'm a right-wing American, and my heroes are a penguin that killed itself, a Japanese writer who killed himself, a Japanese porn actor who got on a plane and killed himself, the university professor who went crazy and killed himself, and the shopkeeper who got in a digger and killed himself. Yeah. The Killdozer guy is another hero of theirs. Like, their Sky King wasn't a TSA employee. Sorry. The Sky King guy. Excuse you. Sky King is a legend. Respect him. Like, it's just very strange to me that there is this like weird glamorizing of suicidal ideation on the Republican side. And the closest thing that you can discern to a galvanizing and organizational principle is just like this suicidal ideation. I don't know what it is. They want to be martyrs, but they don't actually want to be martyrs, if that makes sense, because they're never going to actually do something. They're never actually going to put their lives on the line in general, but they just like, they idolize martyrs in this way. And I don't know what that is. I don't understand that at all. I guess like fatalism and Zen fascism, maybe.
Do not believe in the future. They cannot conceptualize the world surviving the present, and so theirs is an embrace of pure id, pillaging what future does exist to live out a revenge fantasy for no other reason than because they can. Their only policy is chaos and hatred, because where they're going, they don't need policies. The actual mountains, America the Great, and its promised flourishing don't matter. It can remain a hazy shape on the horizon because no one headed there will live to see it. Their only goal is to take everything else with them on the way out into the ice to die. Now, maybe that's just cope on my part. I, too, am human and need to rationalize the world as it exists, grapple with the future, but it would go a long way to explaining why modern right-wing propaganda is so grim and nihilistic, reticent to depict any coherent ideal, even an unrealistic, unobtainable one. Herzog intended for the Penguin to reflect on humanity. Encounters at the End of the World is unabashedly an anthropomorphic film about the stories that people read into nature in order to say something about ourselves, and to that end, the United States Department of Homeland Security has looked at this penguin and said, yep, that's us. We're doing this for no reason. We have no hope of success. There is no meaning to this. You don't need to ask us why, because you've always known why.
Isn't that a suicidal penguin? Yes, that's the point. I mean, it is, I guess, necropolitics, if you think about it. And now it's therefore, there is this like aspirational mass suicide that these guys are gearing towards. I don't know what it is. They present it as like they basically present it as like moving away from the present, like, oh, we stand alone. It's like hyper individualistic. Okay, you stand alone. Fine. You're hyper individualistic, right? That's Americanist, right? That's the American attitude. It's really stupid. But it doesn't make sense that you're like hyper individualistic in the direction of like suicide. Like you're openly promoting like doing something that is antithetical to your existence, that's like destroying your own sense of purpose, or rather presenting your own sense of purpose as like one that is trying to kill itself.
You know, Minnesota's in the news a lot, but what they don't say is that Minnesota has low numbers because of the fact that we took thousands of hardened criminals out of Minnesota. So they had good crime numbers, believe it or not. And that's all working out. You know, we have Tom Homan there now. We put him in there. He's great. And they met with the governor, the mayor, everybody else, and we're going to de-escalate a little bit. But I will tell you, you know, Minnesota's in the news a lot, but what they don't say is that Minnesota has low numbers because of the fact that we took thousands of hardened criminals.
We saw this part. It's bullshit, right? We know that it's bullshit, especially when you consider that ICE is directly responsible for 66% of homicides that took place in 2026 so far in Minnesota. So, no, you actually went there and you did more crimes. It's just that we don't track it as though it is a crime when it's a federal agent doing it, you know? They nuke Harvard's funding, which everybody told them was going to lead the Chinese research dominance. China's now dominating, and instead of reconsidering the terrible science policies, they're blaming it on minorities. These people are insane. It's interesting that you presented this, because I talked about how stupid this is, because there is a state-mandated affirmative action in China that a lot of these guys are completely oblivious to. So even on that front, they're wrong. China literally does state-enforced DEI in Minneapolis, not Minnesota, sorry. But beyond that, China graduated 1.3 million engineers last year. The U.S. graduated 130,000. Do with that information what you will. This anti-education slant makes a malleable workforce that's easier to dominate by the capital-owning class, but it makes us a dumber country overall, and AI won't fix it. We've lost over 10,000 STEM PhDs from the federal workforce in a single year. Never thought the U.S. would ever allow this type of brain drain to occur, but here we are, says Dr. Catherine Young. Isn't that so dumb? Like, we are genuinely cooking our own demise. This is the contradictions worsening, by the way. And unfortunately, if everyone is too stupid to notice it, then we're not going to make this change at all. Because unfortunately,
I'm not sure.
We have made vice a virtue. We have made stupidity intelligence. Everything is upside down now with these guys. Okay? They truly run around as though it is virtuous to be dumb. It is virtuous to deny yourself an education. I don't know how they don't see how this is going to lead to our demise. It's already here. Okay, thank you, streamers. Yeah, it's Twitch streamers that are responsible for this. Come on now. Be for real. Twitch streamers are too stupid to actually change the way things are going. And they're not. They're just leaning into the overall vibes. Twitch streamers are not the reason why the American government for far before, like since the Reagan era, has taken an anti-educational slant. Okay, if you want to get mad at someone, if you want to get mad at a singular figure, get mad at Ronald Reagan, not Twitch streamers. Let's be real. Oh,
It's got very little crime.
But it's gone very differently.
yeah, streamers are a symptom, not the problem.
And now it's got very little crime.
But it's gone very differently in Minneapolis.
Well, it has. It's the only place.
And now the message is out that Tom Homan is in.
Yeah.
Commander Bovino is supposedly leaving Minneapolis along with some CBP agents. Is this a pullback?
I don't think it's a pullback. It's a little bit of a change. Everybody in this room that has a business, you know, you make little changes. You know, Bovino is very good, but he's a pretty out there kind of a guy. And in some cases, that's good. Maybe it wasn't good here.
Yeah, they're cooking them, dude. They're blinking. They're retreating. They're retreating. I called it. They are retreating. I told you. I told you that there was no way for them to continue with this pressure, okay? That if people actually came out and pushed back, they were going to fold because they don't have the popular mandate that they thought they had. They're not pulling back. They absolutely are de-escalating. They're scaling back. They're doing a tactical retreat, rather. They are trying to figure out a new method of doing this, because previously, the previous operation was deliberately created to violate people's constitutional rights, to dominate them, okay? And if they come back to the city, if they tactically retreat and then come back to the city in the same way or even with larger force, they will be met with even larger force by the population. That's it. And a lot of these guys are actually getting freaked out by it. To the Wall Street Journal, President Trump said that the administration is reviewing everything concerning Alex Paredes shooting in Minneapolis and suggested that ICE agents could leave at some point. We are all going to be, Joe Ender says, we are all going to be jailed, bankrupted, and potentially killed in the next 20 years for trying to save our country, all because Trump couldn't arrest these insurrectionists. General Mike Flynn says, did the White House just blink? Yeah, to the people saying China has much more inhabitants than the U.S., graduates in China is 9.3% of the whole population, while in the U.S. it's 3.7% of the whole population. Considering they're pulling back, do you think it was a good idea that Walz didn't make officers arrest ICE? No. Because if he did that, one could argue that Alex Paredes would still be alive right now. Because if he had done that, that would have even given more confidence to the population. If Walz did that, and if Jacob Fry did that, if they had a backbone, in my opinion, they would have backed away even faster. Because otherwise, the alternative is what? Like full-blown military deployment? Get the out of here. Trump does not have the organizational capacity or the mandate to be able to do a full-blown military deployment. He cannot actually have a constitutional crisis and a possible civil war in his hands. Even he's not suicidal enough to recognize that. Okay? Kirsty Noem is also feeling the heat, delivering a statement saying, everything I've done at the direction of the president and Stephen, Noem told a person who relayed her remarks to Axios. Yeah, these guys are all parasitic. They all demonstrate absolute fealty to the dear leader here, but they also must recognize that dear leader will chop them down at a moment's notice if it feels like the heat is getting too high or if the heat is getting too hot. They always do this shit. My point here is if they're not blinking and if they're not retreating and it's a fake PR stunt and they're going to come back even harder, the people of Minneapolis will meet them even harder. Do you understand? That's why I still think that they're going to actually pull out eventually. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are suicidal, because I have been wrong about their suicidal ideation before. And we just did spend the last 30 minutes talking about how the only discernible galvanizing principle for this administration is like esoteric neo-Nazi memes and suicidal ideation. So maybe they are. Despite the news about bovino, multiple DHS convoys have entered the city this morning and they're very active. They're ramping up operations against observers. Some are being followed to their homes, verbally threatened, and in some cases, ICE is trying to violently detain them. Now, the worst possible outcome of this would be if Tim Walz gave him assurances that the local law enforcement will cooperate with DHS with the promises that Trump will de-escalate, and then Trump actually re-escalates. And now local law enforcement and state law enforcement has gotten the mandate from Tim Walz to cooperate with the DHS. So then they actually end up suppressing the population's resistance even harder. That would be the absolute worst bind. And I don't put it past the liberals to actually end up playing ball with the fascist administration because they're too stupid to recognize that they're being duped. Because I saw this last night. And it wasn't like the Minneapolis Police Department, right? But it was a Minnesota, it was a local police in Minnesota that was actually tear gassing the protesters for the first time outside of the hotel where ICE agents were at. Where is it? Hold on. So on the one hand, there is cause for concern. This is cause for concern. Breaking: 3 protesters have just been arrested by police after an unlawful assembly was declared. One of the protesters appeared to have suffered an injury during her arrest and can be seen bleeding from her nose. This isn't ICE. This is local police, local law enforcement using local weapons, LRADs and shit like that. Even though it was outside of the Minneapolis Police Department's jurisdiction, it still should not be happening at all. This is Maple Grove Police Department, but I think there was also state police there as well.
Who are you serving? Who are you protecting? I know my fucking rights. I know my rights. What the fuck is y'all doing? I'm an American citizen. I am not. What the fuck is y'all doing? Nobody is.
Yeah, and the Department of Homeland Security pigs that were up top in that hotel where the demonstrations were taking place were drinking beers and enjoying the show. If you want to understand where we're at with Tim Walz, Jacob Fry, whoever the Maple Grove mayor is, they absolutely were siding with the Department of Homeland Security. Okay? So on the one hand, I think that this level of resistance has made it more costly for the administration and has made them recalculate their response. And I still suspect they will inevitably pull out and go somewhere else and try it again with a more pliant public. But there is at least still evidence to prove that all Trump might have gotten in this conversation that he had with Tim Walz is assurances that the local law enforcement and state law enforcement will actually side with the Department of Homeland Security and will not actually side with the population.
This, brother.
What?
You know, I will tell you this. You raise your boys, I raise your boys.
Come on, dude. Really? I mean, this is like, it's like a joke at this point. This is why I said you got the most like Hispanic ICE agents. Like these guys can't even do white supremacy right, man. What the going on? That's why it's like ICE agents running around being like, ICE agents running around being like, "Where are you from, my friend? You are not American." And then the other guy goes, "Why do you say that?" And he goes, because of your accent." It's like, bitch, what the do you mean because of your accent? What about your accent? What are you saying? "Papers, please. I do not believe you are American."
I will tell you this, brother.
What?
You know, I will tell you this. You raise your voice.
Yeah, you raise your voice. I erase your voice. What? What is happening? Where is your papers? We got a fucking white supremacist militia almost entirely comprised of people of color, man. What is happening?
Voice? I raise your voice.
If I raise my voice, you'll erase my...
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, he's... Dude, that is 100% a white guy behind that camera, okay? White guy fighting against white supremacy against a white supremacist soldier who is objectively not white, okay? What the... How do you explain this to, like, anybody? How do you explain this to anyone? And then people try to tell me about, like, you know, rad lib shit. Is done. Like, the old school rad lib mentality was never fully there anyway, okay? It was never really there. There was never a moment where, like, this actually worked in the United States of America.
I raise your voice.
If I raise my voice, you'll erase my...
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
Are you serious? You said if I raise my voice, you'll erase my voice?
Yes. I will tell you this, brother.
What?
You know, I will tell you this.
You're gonna have a bad time. I'm like, what? Okay. What the? What do you mean, bro? Arrest yourself. Arrest you. Arrest you. The. It blows my mind, dude. It blows my mind. Like, it's just, you can't. It's like a come town bit, bro. It's straight up. Like, that's where we're at now.
Hey, придави документы.
What?
Паспорт давай, ебарь, мам.
I don't understand you.
А, да ты по-английски не шаришь. Что за хуйня с тобой? Я говорю, паспорт покажи. Все вы нелегалы как один. Ты под гражданским арестом, ты понял? Америка — страна возможностей, а я воспользуюсь возможностью послать тебя обратно через границу, откуда ты приперся.
What?
Very good, Joseph. Real fine. We'll make a civilian protector of our nation's borders from undesirable elements of you yet. Sorry, citizen, just a training exercise.
Ah, okay. Well, I'm so glad that you patriots are out here defending this fine American desert sand.
Well, thank you.
When you could be in town with some girls and further destroying the gene pool.
Hey, there's a real problem here.
Да, люди, мотивированы необходимостью прокормить свои семьи, едут сюда работать по-черному за копейки и прут в эту страну.
It's a disaster.
Oh my god, I don't even remember this. What is this, like, modded? Oh yeah. No, it's a mission. It's vanilla. I don't remember this. Never skip the GTA 5. It's a side mission. I feel like I've 100% completed this game and I don't remember this part. But anyway. Fascists of all stripes are uniting under white supremacy, ultimately for their own power more than ideological consistency. It's just crazy because, like you... Bro, you could make the argument that ICE is a Maoist third worldist, like, end white America movement that is comprised of people from the third world that have actually taken up arms against the white suburbanites, okay? This is like permanent first world genocide shit. Maoist Trump wins once again, okay? He said, no, launch me into the suburbs, okay? Trump, the great nation builder for China. JD Pondom, baby. Straight up. Don't make me pro-ICE, bro. I mean, look, if you're living in the third world and you want America to be destroyed entirely because you feel like there's no other option here for American salvation, then yeah, be a Republican. Like, that's a consistent position I've maintained. Like, Osama bin Laden would never be able to reach the level of death and destruction for America that the average Republican senator invites on a daily basis. Let's be real. So that's 100% happening right now. I mean, this is like this is true unlimited first world genocide. That's gonna get clip law. I mean, I've said this many times over. It's one of my classic takes that the Republicans are a far more successful terrorist entity that is slated to destroy America. I think MAGA and American fascists are building their movement on aggrieved patriarchy and isolated men. That once this solidifies his grip on power and culture, it will purge minorities from his ranks. I guess. Federal deployment to Minneapolis is already is steady state and expected to continue as planned per Border Patrol memo leaked to me. Don't fall for the hype. Bovino was reassigned, and that's significant, but the broader mission is far from over. I just think that if they were going to continue doing the force projection and the posture, they would have kept Bovino in charge, and they would have said, like, no, f off. So I think, like, scaling back and taking Bovino off command, off the commander position in this operation, implies that they're going to try something different. And I suspect it's more nefarious. Okay? I suspect it is more nefarious. What do I mean by this? I think they got assurances from Tim Walz and assurances from Jacob Fry and everybody else that they would not impede in the investigations that Customs and Border Patrol will conduct and deportations that Customs and Border Patrol will continue doing, and that it will be the operations will continue, but it won't have the same level of force projection. It won't have the same posture. And as long as cops get out of the way and actually allow the deportations to continue, and even when local citizens, ordinary Minnesotans, are actually responding to them in the way that they have been, cops will come in and take care of them rather than the ICE agents, or step out of the way and allow ICE agents to have their idiotic kidnapping schemes to continue. They won't be as aggressive on the regular population, because they will delegate the responsibility of brutalizing the community back to the local law enforcement branch. That's what I think we're at, potentially.
Sure about his parents, but I know her parents were big Trump fans.
And we've already seen it. We've already fucking seen it. We've seen it with, like I said, we've seen it with the response that has taken place last night, where cops actually started ruthlessly beating down, calling an unlawful assembly inside of Minneapolis. All night, protesters would stand outside of the Hilton and bang on trash cans and try to do, try to make as much noise as possible to ensure that ICE agents were having a hard time, that they knew that they weren't welcomed in the city. Okay? What signs are you reading that Tim Walz and Jacob Fry are folding? The signs that I'm seeing are that they are lapping this up as a major victory. They're lapping this up as a major victory. And the signs I'm seeing are that local law enforcement is now taking a more aggressive posture against the protesters than the ones that they did for the past couple of weeks. I think Trump basically told them, nobody wants to see people killed. I don't want to see people killed. You don't want to see people killed. Just make sure that you're on our side on this, and we won't kill more of your citizens. And he probably gave him assurances that he will investigate thoroughly, which is bullshit to begin with, right? He probably gave them the assurance that these guys will be properly prosecuted, right? Justice will be served. And that in the future, Customs and Border Patrol won't be as aggressive as long as cops are on their side. Which, by the way, is a lie. I mean, why would they? They're getting everything that they wanted out of Tim Walz. A pliant administration, a pliant local administration. It's been almost 2 months since Metro surge began. Families are running out of money and resources to stay in hiding. Rental assistance requests are exploding. City council pressuring Walz for eviction moratorium. Restaurants are either closed or half staff around me. Despite the news about Bovino, multiple DHS convoys have entered the city this morning, and they're very active. They're ramping up operations against observers. Some are being followed to their homes, verbally threatened, and in some cases, ICE is trying to violently detain them. Bovino may be out, but the DHS has just acquired a military base in St. Paul. We briefly covered this last night. So I think Trump just lied. I assume I've had it. Fuck ICE. I just ate shit on my patio. So over winter. You're an idiot, dude. The dude literally reached for his gun. Oh my God. This has got to be a bot, right? This implies that they're botting like pro-ICE sentiment, right? There's no shot that this is a human. It's got to be a clanker, right? There's no shot this person heard ICE and then replied this way. I don't want to live in a world where this is actually a human being with this little reading comprehension. I can't. I don't want to live in a world where that is a human being with like that little reading comprehension. Oh my God. Here's what ICE is up to in Northeast Minneapolis today. Absolutely heartbreaking.
What are you doing? Don't you have any fucking humanity?
Oh, so you're running.
Leave us alone! Hey!
Get up. That was your job. We'll get
Señora, ¿cómo se llama? Jenny? ¿Usted conocía al señor que corrió?
Sí, es mi primo.
¿Es su primo? ¿Cómo se llama su primo? ¿Segundo? Sí. ¿Y su apellido?
Ushka.
Sí. Segundo Ushka.
What happens when they finally spin this shit down? Do all these hogs just keep their guns and go home? This is some dark shit. Anyone that goes, yes, I voted for this, watching an image such as this one, I don't want to say what I think should happen to them, but they are cattle, okay? The ugliest thing about the Trump 2 era is the number of people just proudly declaring themselves to be sociopaths who just want to see other people hurt. Oh my God, you wanted the old white women to be aggressively shoved in the ground? Yes, I did.
Oh, get up.
It's increasingly looking like they are just going to change their tactics and get more support from local law enforcement. Hasan Reactions is one of the best ones in the React channel.